The third quarter this year is actually the 11th growth quarter that Presight had since we listed. A big part of it you've described international revenue as a driver for us, but it's a strategy that we put in place since 2022. What we're seeing now, last year we had 23% of the entire Presight business coming from the international market. This year we're trending to about 35%. But having said that international is the growth driver, we're not forgetting the increased demand of AI applications in the UAE itself. The UAE domestic market seen us acquire a breadth of portfolio clients from the energy sector, finance, the government, and quite recently we even took on a joint partnership with the UAE Federal Public Prosecutor to develop the world's first judiciary large language model. What this is demonstrating is that the UAE adoption and the drive to be a UAE AI leader and the government applying the application itself is driving not only demand for us locally and demand and exporting this internationally. In Kazakhstan, we inaugurated our first regional HQ back in May. We have 55 staff. At the same time, we're developing the AI-powered smart city. We just turned on with them the largest AI cluster in Astana, and now we're moving on to develop an AI research lab in their National AI Center. The opening of our office in Jordan is another pivotal move. We are already digitizing the healthcare system in Jordan, but right now, together with the Ministry of Digital and Entrepreneurship in Jordan, we're creating a development hub. So as you see, it's not just a push from the UAE, but it's a push and pull as these countries and these growth markets wants to apply AI solutions. And Presight has been the net largest exporter of Emirati-based solutions from Abu Dhabi to the world. And these are really the key drivers that is pushing us forward.
And Presight really is the UAE national champion when it comes to the AI side. What's interesting, of course, is the fact that we've seen huge investments, not just at a federal, but also at a private level into artificial intelligence, and in particular into the AI infrastructure layer in the UAE. I'm curious just to get a sense from you about where you think the growth is actually going to come from, because you've said that at Presight you're seeing increasing exposure to the international markets. Walk me through what's actually happening here in the UAE.
I think if you look at the recent announcement, so UAE is invested largely into the AI infrastructure. The UAE US AI campus, driven by Stargate UAE, is one example that what G42 and the American partners of NVIDIA OpenAI has done. That's a sign, a signal that infrastructure needs to support the demand. The demand comes from applying AI solutions. And what you're seeing, the adoption of one, the UAE's drive to be an AI native government, two, the corporations adopting AI to drive value such as ADNOC, and you'll be familiar with that. These push and pull factors is what's driving. The infrastructure needs capital, the infrastructure needs time to be developed. And I think UAE has taken a very strong step to invest in this infrastructure to support the regional demand of where AI would be. At the same time, we have companies like Presight, like G42, developing applied AI solutions that will leverage on this infrastructure. So you can't build infrastructure when the demand comes, you have to build the infrastructure ahead of time. And look at the world demand today. It is not as if you could build infrastructure in a short time. Every one of this has to be calculated, worked through, and at least a 36-month lag time before infrastructure could stand up. So I think the UAE has done a great job investing in the infrastructure, forecasting the demand that is coming, and we believe the convergence of this is when applied AI solutions across the government sector, finance, energy, smart infrastructure that Presight does with the infrastructure that is needed to support this, especially in countries that may not have access to the infrastructure as yet today.
Well, let me ask you about that as well, because Presight is expanding fast in an AI market that is also getting more crowded, right? And also in an AI market where now valuations are really under heavy investor scrutiny as well. Of course, you can see what's happening on Wall Street right now. Do you think spending has run ahead of reality across this sector?
Well, I think it's a convergence. So there's a lot of big spending that's going into infrastructure. So the chip manufacturers have gotten a boom run on that. AI solutions companies are starting to peak up. Valuations in the Bay Area is definitely high. But I give you an example, we launched a global AI accelerator just this year. And we had 120 companies across 17 countries apply. And we've picked a cohort of 10, 4 from the UAE, 2 from the US, and then Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Indonesia, Singapore applied. the startups around the world are hungry for applied AI markets. And I think what the Abu Dhabi environment allow us to do is to create a platform to allow these companies that are not enjoying the Bay Area valuations, but yet to be able to have access to markets that can prove where rubber hits the road, where applied AI solutions will benefit the government, the companies, and the societies. So if you look at it, is this a matter of concern? I don't believe so. I believe as applied AI translate into value creation, companies will be able to justify the investments in AI and the results they're going to get. At the same time, capacity will continue to build, and you've heard G42's leadership always put on the analogy that intelligence is like intelligence grid is like electricity, and the intelligence that can be produced out of these data centers is what drives the value. And I believe we may be ahead of our time by taking a judgment now, but I believe that applied AI and the translation to value creation, it's where this entire convergence proposition will come together very strongly.
Okay, we're watching it closely. And Thomas, as well, one of the other things Presight has done is set up this new international advisory board. How is that going to shape Presight's global strategy? Because you've got some pretty big names here, Jack Selby, Meng Kwok, to name a few. What do these people bring that Presight doesn't already have in-house?
Well, I think this is really a three-part strategy. So one, we have a strong M&A acquisition strategy that saw us acquire AIQ last year. This year, we've doubled down with a global accelerator program that allow us access to really good IP and solutions, but allowing us to test it across the ecosystem. And then the venture capital together with Shuruk is another strategy we have put ahead. It allows us to take quick decisions on solutions that are coming up. The advisory board chaired by His Excellency Mansoor Mansouri, together with Jack Selby and Meng Kwok, is an example of a Middle East, Bay Area, and Southeast Asia triangulation for deal expansion, for network, for capital flow. And this is a strategy that we have to give us access to IP, companies, and ability for us to add these IP solutions into the current Presight portfolio, at the very same time giving them access to the 14 global markets we have in the region.
I wanted to pick up on that because you've also launched this, and you flagged this earlier, it's the Presight Shuruk Fund and the Startup Accelerator that you mentioned before as well. Is that a move into venture? Can we call that a new venture play for Presight?
Well, I think you can definitely consider that as our first step into a venture play. But unlike regular venture plays, we're an operating company. We are the region's largest AI and analytics solution company operating in 14 markets. So now imagine we have the venture play, we have the ability for corporate innovation, at the same time a platform supported by Abu Dhabi and the UAE Inc. and ecosystem and the G42 greater infrastructure to bring these startups to a new level. For us to be able to uncover solutions that can be tested in the real world before further equity can be put into it. So it's a bit of a venture play, but it's a very unique because we're in this position that we have both the operating companies, the markets, and the ability to capitalize equity for them.
So if Presight could potentially be taking equity stakes in aligned businesses in the future, what's on the M&A horizon right now? Are you sizing up any potential deals?
Well, I can't reveal the details, but I can tell you for this. Last year when we did the acquisition of AIQ, today's energy itself is accretive to about 23% of the business, and we continue to do that. We're doubling down on finance. We're very prominent in the government public sector and smart cities. So this is definitely the scope that we're looking at. We want to double down on these startups that will be accretive to the Presight portfolio. At the same time, if you have read, we have been the digital partner and joint venture partner to the UAE Central Bank. We've announced a partnership with Dow Jones Factiva. So the financial services is definitely a key to look at. And I guess as we lead up to ADFW, we expect more announcements to come. But at this point in time, M&A as well as the accelerator and the venture capital is one way that we're looking at to acquire IP and use Abu Dhabi and Presight as a platform to launch that to the growth markets that we serve.